Hey everyone, it's your favorite real estate agent in Las Vegas, Robert Stein, Stein Realty Network of Keller Williams. Anyways, I wanted to touch base with everybody with the market update for March 23rd of 2023, what's going on in the market out here and what it might mean to you. So I think these are the key numbers to keep an eye on. As we all know, supply and demand drives economics, and that is a pretty key thing going on here. What I'm watching is what is the active inventory looking like, what is the activity, and what factors are controlling those. So anyways, the active listings currently is about 4,315 properties. This is all single family residents. And this number is down pretty significantly from November 9th of last year. We saw kind of a short-term peak of 8,223, and we've been on a steady decline. So now we're down nearly 48% of what's available on the market, what we consider available inventory. So some people are hearing buyers, sellers market, that type of thing. Well, a big part of supply and demand is the supply, and supply's down. So that would indicate maybe the sellers have some advantages still, but we also don't know what the demand is. Activity has been slow in general. Fewer people are buying, so that inventory does go a longer ways than it did in the past. However, the people that do have to move and are interested in doing something right now do have less selection. So something to think about as a buyer and as a seller. But the average sales price increased this past week from 517,000 and some change to 545,000 and some change. That's a pretty big jump. I don't put too much emphasis on the average sales price and week to week, but I do like to keep an eye on it. Basically, that number can be thrown off. If a $20 million house sold, that's going to skew the numbers. And week to week, it can vary quite a bit. So monthly trends might be better to keep an eye on. I do a monthly update also, so we'll take a look at that next month. But just so you see the weekly trend, it was a pretty big jump in one particular week. The median sales price increased from 423 to 424 and some change. So that's up less than 0.5%, less than 0.4%. This one, median to me means a little bit more because it kind of eliminates the effect of a $20 million house or a $25,000 house that's burned to the ground. Who knows? This is more of like what's typically going on. Other things to keep an eye on I've been watching lately. So over the past 12 weeks, we've started to see notice of defaults, which is the precursor to a foreclosure. So 500 new filings over the past 12 weeks. We've gone several months, maybe years, where we haven't had hardly any at all. So this number is rising and something to think about. And it kind of makes sense because if you look at people that own a property, and if your property's going up in value, like you want to protect your equity, so you want to make those payments on time, you want to protect that with everything you've got. However, over the past year, we've seen a little bit of a decline in the prices. So now if you find out your house is worth a little bit less today than it was a year ago, people might be a little bit more willing to fall behind on their payments. So that's just something to think about. Also makes refinancing a little bit tougher when the house is worth less than it was when you paid for it. So these are all things that everyone's got to think about. Average days on the market is declining. So I think this goes hand in hand with the number of properties that are available, or available inventory being so low. That is showing that people are scooping up properties a little bit faster than they had been. Previously, it was about 59 days on the market. We're down to about 52 days on the market. So yeah, the people that do have to make a decision, do have to move, they're kind of swooping up and grabbing those properties. The other thing to think about is if there's less properties and more buyers coming into the market, then that does create the opportunity for bidding wars again. It'll be interesting this spring. I don't know if we're going to see more people coming on the market to sell their homes. There's a lot of people that kind of gave up over the holidays, the slower time of year, November, December, maybe even January, waiting for the spring's real estate season. And we could see more properties hit the market, but we could also see more demand as people typically start to think about making a move during the spring and summer. So all things we'll keep an eye on. Key factors driving the real estate market right now: higher interest rates. So the last I checked this morning, it was kind of in the high sixes, and that's historically low still, but high compared to like the rates we've been spoiled with the last many years. So it feels high. Payments are a little bit higher as a result. Some people advise that it's not a bad idea to shop while the market's a little bit slower, try to get a reasonable deal, have some of your costs covered by the seller if they're having a hard time selling, and then refinance if the rates do drop. But my advice on that is I want you to make sure you're comfortable with the payment that is there currently. The lender's obviously going to make sure you qualify for that payment, want you to be comfortable with that, because there's no guarantee the rates are going to come back down. So just be responsible and set yourself up for success that way. And so higher interest versus shrinking inventory, those are kind of fighting each other. So shrinking inventory would normally drive the prices up, a reduction in the supply. But the higher interest rates are putting some people on the fence deciding what to do. And then higher payments versus supply and demand, that's basically what I just said in a different way. The higher payments now, you might have been able to buy a house that was more expensive last year, but the lower interest rate made your payments less. Just kind of depends what your goal is and what your situation is. So all my advice is very customized. I don't like giving generic advice. I think these facts and stats can help people if they see how it applies to their situation. But if you want to discuss your situation specifically, have me kind of cater my advice directly to you. My contact information is right there, and happy to help. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully this was helpful, and you feel free to make comments and ask questions below. Thanks.